Alrighty, so we did it, boys. We did it. We got YouTube partner, and today we're going to be celebrating that by doing reaction video here and reacting to all of the crazy discussion posts in the Dark and Darker official forum pages. The first one is from Herb7758, and he says he wants an insurance system, maybe a service feature for the Goblin Merchant. You can talk to insure items for a fee, but you can only get back items if no one escapes with it in that round. The fee is determined per item roll, so if it's a god tier roll, it's a higher fee. I never liked the insurance or the safety pockets or anything like that. I never liked that because it gets rid of the gear fear, right? The fear. Rather than kind of escalating high of like using your crazy good gear and you run into another person with crazy good gear and it becomes a battle, it's just kind of like, worst case scenario, I get my money back. And then you just kind of go in. It takes away from the intensity of the experience, and the cycle kind of proved this. But let's go on to the next one. Let's see if he's got any better ideas. This one is from Haru6261. He says, this is a strange balance for a fighter when his main advantage is a ton of armor, which takes a lot of time and money and speed sacrifices to achieve, but it's easily removed by two other melee classes with one of their abilities. Nerf the effect of these abilities so they don't cut armor too much. So you want to make Overwatch 3v3s? You want to have a Pocket Mercy, a Reinhardt, and then just any DPS, like a Wizard or a Ranger? God, no. God, no. If you take that away from Rogue, he is fucked. Because as soon as the Cleric notices that a Rogue is going after him, the fighter just turns, uses their sprint, and murders them. It takes away the 1v1 potential. They need armor piercing. Otherwise, there's no reason to play Rogue other than to try and get a kill before you die. You would just die. It was so fun to dance in between the barbarian swings or a two-handed fighter swing. It became such a delicate 1v1. Nah, man. Nah, that's not how balance works. The next suggestion is from Sweaters4710. Add special arrow quivers as an equipment slot for rangers. These quivers would add effects to your arrows, such as fire arrows, frost arrows, slow arrows, etc. Well, fun fact, the different arrows, the different type of bows that you use, like the survival bow, the recurve bow, and the longbow, actually do offer different values of slows. The longbow having the most slows, recurve is medium, and then like the survival one is very low, right? And this is shown off by, you can, when they're running away, if you hit them, it's a skill check, right? It's pretty intense. But at the same time, you have 7 arrows in your survival, 6 in your recurve, and then 5 in your longbow, and they're the appropriate damage, right? It kind of shows you what's happening. I don't think slow arrows, but I'm really excited for like fire arrows and frost arrows and stuff. I would really like there was, say, a charcoal piece or a matchstick kind of piece, you know, that they would on the front of their arrows. That way they could shoot them at the lanterns to relight them. I think that could be really cool. Frost arrows, maybe it like makes the enemy hit harder, but they have less armor and it does less damage. Something that becomes a give and take, right? Because that could add a lot of entertainment value and it could add a lot of tit for tat, right? We want to add something that creates a beautiful exchange of player ideas and interactions. We don't want just like, okay, well, let's buff up this class, let's buff up this class, let's buff up this class. We want to think about how it can interact in between each other. So cool idea. I'm going to give it a slight thumbs up. We're going to go ahead and head on to the next one though. Oh, this one's long. What the fuck? Suggestion from Konjo1495. Make arrows an item required for bows. It's the only ranged option in the entire game that has infinite ammo. There it is. And it frankly doesn't make much sense considering how limited the other ranged options are. Ranger isn't overpowered really, but the lack of downtime made him unfun to fight at times. Okay, I could see that. Since you can't really do anything against them except for try to dodge and hope they miss enough for you to approach them. An ammo limit would make them use their arrows more sparingly, eliminating this problem by forcing them to come into melee range more often. Maybe they could start with a hatchet too, just so they could have some kind of melee option when they run out of arrows. Either way though, the infinite ammo just doesn't feel fair. Okay, so the idea of having the infinite arrows is that everything else is so limited. You want the ability that your class brings to the table to not be limited. If they limited the arrows of the Ranger, they would also have to add durability to the weapons of other classes. Because it's just not fair that barbarians can go through and kill all the mobs and then also kill all the players, and then they can go to the next hell dungeon. How is that fair? With one axe? That's kind of the example, right? What you're wanting is counterplay. We look past the suggestion, right? What do they truly want? They want counterplay to Ranger that isn't just chasing them down. That's hard, right? This would be where AoE slows from like maybe a wizard would come in handy. Like make it a high tier spell that if you throw a huge kind of like slowing orb, you could throw it past the ranger and then the fighter could make the distance gap, right? Using different abilities to close the gap, like the hatchet, while you're running after the ranger, using the hatchet to keep staying on them, making sure you're using torches to light up the areas that they've kept dark. Because let's say this person has gone up against like a top tier streamer, that can be really frustrating to go up against a like top 100 ranger, right? But the average ranger who's just trying to play the game isn't going to be that good. They're not going to be able to like set out perfect traps and have like 9 mollies and then know exactly where everything is and have great movement, right? I would argue that I would like the ranger to start with bad rapier that has very low damage and then also make the arrows do less damage up close. That's what I would like, because when you do the shotgun arrows and you do the rapid fire arrows, even if the fighter or the barbarian closes the gap, you can still put in 5 arrows almost instantly into that person. So then it can kind of escalate out of control, right? But if they do less damage the closer they are, then they could also do that for the NPCs. And those rangers, those like skeleton rangers, become less and less frustrating to fight against. My fighter and barbarian buddies, even my cleric buddies, had a hard time with those rangers. And so as the rogue or as the rogue, I struggled as well. But as the other ranger in our party, I had to take care of the archer skeletons. I think that's one thing that this person might be happier about, right? Is adding counterplay to those situations. So that's kind of a fun one. We'll go on to the next one. Okay, suggestion from Stalagnid. Yeah, we got it. 8073. Add a high roller single dungeon. I think that'd be sick. I think, okay. Thumbs up, bro. Cool idea. I like that one a lot. The Goblin Caves were fun, but I do want to just be able to risk it all, right? I want to be able to just dive in and pray to God I get some decent gear. I love the idea of like watching a streamer who only does high roll solo dungeons. Oh, that'd be so fucking cool. That'd be so cool. I think that this could be a very good addition, but I'm curious because other like battle royales and evac shooters, I don't really watch a lot of evac shooters. Like I used to watch The Cycle a lot, and one of the best things was watching other pros team up to go against each other. I feel like if we add high roll single dungeons, it's going to lower the view rate of the game because everybody's going to be so slow. I'm curious on how this goes, but I'm going to give that one a thumbs up. That one's nice. All right, let's see here. We got one from Lockpick 7252. General perks. A set of situational perks that are available to every class. They can be something simple like plus 3% action speed, plus 10% buff duration, plus 1 to stat, plus 5 to match XP, or something dumb like negative 50% healing received, plus 75% shields received. I think this will add much more variety to character builds while also save the devs some time on making a bunch of class-specific perks. Oh, okay. So he's thinking that when the training and everything drops, there's not going to be just like plain perks everyone can equip. He's thinking that it's going to be specifically class specific perks. I'm betting it's going to be more like multi-classing. Thumbs up for the idea, but you know, like I don't think they would just give specific class perks, because then what we see is going to be a lot of other games where one class kind of like shines through because they have the ability to have either like massive health regen in between fights, they're going to have insane armor buffs, or they're just going to be able to basically negate the amount of damage, that kind of thing. So this is kind of like Resilience in Destiny 2, in my opinion. This is kind of like Sanguine in Blood Hunt. There's a couple of examples out there, but I like the idea, but I'm always nervous about changing how healing works as a perk, because if that happens, then it just becomes the staple. I don't think healing should be changed. So that's my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and give that one a medium because I'm nervous on how they feel. Got a couple more here. A self-cast button would be perfect. Oh, this one. Take my money right now. Suggestion from Nico the Flame. Oh my God, a self-cast option so I don't see a cleric doing this. What the fuck is that? What are you doing? Gerald, focus. But that is my opinion. You know, I'm going to go ahead and give that one a bing bing and double thumbs up. Oh my goodness. Ooh, this one's long. Suggestion from Estes Soup. Nice name. Dark Souls boy. Please, when you do implement the skill tree and more contemporary skill points and such, I hope you steer away from what is called Venn diagramming. where at the moment the classes have some overlap, but in places where it makes sense. But people are suggesting that classes should be able to spec into different playstyles, which I disagree. Oh, which I do agree with. But the issue is that unless the class specializations are unique to that class and no other class gets too close to its niche, they become homogenous and lose what makes them distinct. But okay, a little wordy, in my opinion. But he's worried that if people aren't allowed to find something that is very unique within each class, they're going to find the one that is the best at it. So like, let's say healing other players. Cleric is very good at that. Let's say the wizard gets a spell like that. Okay. And then the fighter also, you know, has a spell that heals himself, just like his second wind. But then the barbarian also gets a spell that heals 30% of his health and now everyone around him. Which one are you going to pick, right? Well, you're going to watch the best of the best and you're going to see which ones they use. So then everyone starts using that healer. Because why would I use 3 healing spells if I could just use the barbarian around everybody and say, everybody take 1 potion, and then you just go into the fight. That's kind of how that goes. What if 3 barbarians stack? So there's a lot of congruent problems that could arise when there starts to be too much overlap. And I agree with Estes, you want to keep them all distinct and niche and succinct within their own classes. But I am worried that too much fear will cause us to not find the best classes. Like in Skyrim, I loved doing the conjuration while also restoration. So that way I could summon things, but keep healing myself and summon things and keep healing myself. I thought that shit was hilarious. I loved that. I had a lot of fun. But then also the stealth archer. What happens if we add a stealth element to ranger? Nah? Then what happens to rogue? Rogue's going to need a crossbow. Oh, but then if rogue has a crossbow, why wouldn't I just pick stealth ranger? But if ranger's too bad compared to the stealth rogue, why wouldn't I just pick the stealth rogue? That's kind of where he's getting at, right? So we want to make sure that, like, if we do give rogue spells, they're for like igniting its own weapon or taking care of that kind of stuff. So that way the range stays to the ranger. What about the barbarian? Well, if we do the barbarian, I love this. Okay, I really like this now that we've talked about this. I'm excited to see. I think for the next playtest, they go wild with it. I think for the next playtest, they should go wild with the multi-classing. And then we see what becomes too crazy, right? That's my thought. Okay, I'm going to give this one steering towards the positive. Good shit, dude. Good shit. All right, and then we'll do like one more here. Suggestion from Kerple7567. Throwable beer. Why'd you waste beer? Just a fun gag to throw beer at other players to have the effects of beer in both the waiting room and the real game. Bonus, an interactable NPC barkeeper in the waiting room who you could buy 1 gold beer from. If that was just for like the lobby to just buy beer, just throw it at people, that'd be funny. In the game, I think that could be really strong. Imagine a drunken cleric who doesn't feel the effects, the metagaming of that. Dude, should I throw my beer at this team? No, they got a cleric. They got a cleric. Dude, I'm gonna throw my beer at this team. All right, for sure. Oh, they're throwing it back, but don't worry, I'm the cleric. Like, oh, they're by all my traps. Throw the beer. And they stumble into the traps anyway. So you make a bunch of like very obvious traps and then you hit them with the beer. You hit them with the beer as they're coming through a door so they don't notice the rogue. And then when the rogue's in their face, you just start stabbing. I think this is the best suggestion yet. I think that's sick. Now, obviously, you'd have to hit them with like 2 beers to like make them drunk as opposed to just like the 1 beer. But I really like the idea of unique interaction. And we have yet to see a game, or I have yet to see a game, that does something like Swagger from Pokemon, right? Where you buff their attack stats but confuse them. This would be the Mightyena. The Mightyena? This would be the dog Pokemon from Emerald kind of shit that we need to see. I love this. I love this so much. All right, so that's going to be the first reaction to all these discussions. I'm probably going to make this once a week because I really enjoy this and I want to make sure that people are still excited for Dark and Darker and thinking about all the different things that can come. If you want to be on these videos, make sure to go ahead and join the Discord down below. I'll put a link to their Discord where you can go ahead and suggest as well, and you can talk to other people in general about like class specific things or just off topics about Dark and Darker and what they're doing in the meantime. So my name is Glocktane. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and check out my Twitter for more updates and all this kind of fun stuff, okay? We'll catch you on the next one.